wanted to talk about yesterday was I was thinking about whimsy. And a lot of the things that we do in society, a lot of the trends that come about are a direct retaliation to either other trends, to the political, socioeconomic status of the world, you know, or like the culture that exists in society at that time and the problems, the issues that surround that. Same with movies, same with fashion trends. Like anything that comes about is a product of the societal issues that surround it. And so it got me thinking, and I was like, is whimsy a rebellion? Right? And I was thinking, and I was like, And then I was like, have other people thought about this? Like, surely I have no individual thoughts, apparently, because everyone's already thought everything. We're just living in a shared world where everyone's thinking the same thing.
You're a mosaic of everyone in your life.
You're a mosaic of everyone in your life. And so I was like, let me see if anyone else has thought about this. And there are articles on it, so you can go. I will quote some of them. I have written an entire page, which is what I will put stuff in the like cutscenes of me having a mental breakdown over this video because I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I did have a script. I'm gonna go off of the script because it goes against the idea of the script. So it's a little bit of a paradox I found myself into. So yeah. So, is whimsy a rebellion? That's the thought, that's the idea, that's the question. And the answer is yes. The very short answer is yes. The long answer is, well, what's the digital landscape? What's the landscape around the life that we're living right now that makes whimsy a rebellion? Well, first of all, we've got all of those very difficult, hard-hitting news headlines at the moment. We've got the wars, we've got the issues with rights, we've got issues with discrimination and racism. And so we're living in this very bleak world. We live in a very corporate world where our lives have one meaning, and that is to serve a corporate society. It's to serve and to have a value that is economically worth something, to have economic capital, to have social capital. And that is the way that we live our lives. And so if we think about the world as this monotonous corporate existence where our only point in existing is to make money, then whimsy is a rebellion against that idea, that social and political idea, through living life where joy is found in the little things. So it's a rebellion in the idea that it is unapologetic, that it is individual in a society where uniforms are not just worn in schools, but uniforms produce our personalities as well. And so it's a life that prioritizes joy and color over minimalism. And it prioritizes creative chaos in the uncontrolled era that we live in, where the only control that we do have is over our own bodies or over policing the things that we do find joy in. And that's why we have a risk-laden society. Everything is being seen through this lens of, this is risky, you shouldn't be doing it, instead of all of the other possibilities that come with that action, come with that behavior, and how it's culturally embedded into our society. This idea that instead of seeing things through a lens of risk, you see it through a this idea that you see things outside of a lens of risk and instead in like the jurisdiction of pleasure. There we go. Finally, the third time I've said it. Is a form of rebellion. And it's a form of rebellion that is peaceful and personal. Is this idea that we've talked about multiple times about being cringe for the sake of just existing, being happy even though everyone is telling you that there is nothing to be happy about, nothing to be joyful about, and it's finding reasons to live in the everyday enjoyment that you will find. And so through there, chaos becomes the comfort. It's maximalism, but without the added burden of consumerism. That's what whimsy is. It's a bold existence away from fast fashion and sleek uniformity, and therefore is a form of rebellion.
Okay.
Am I making sense?
Yeah.
The other idea then is this emergence, because I said that it's not just socioeconomic status of the world, it's not just politics, it's also trends. So the trend that this 100% is a backlash to, and there's no doubt about it, like let's say, oh, what? That wasn't a proper sentence. Let's say let's think about it. Like, we had a huge rise in this whole trend of nonchalance, right?
Yeah.
About last year, I think we had this rise in, oh, this guy is so cool. He's so nonchalant. Like, he doesn't care. And then everyone was like, no, we need chalance. I want all of the chalant. And then we get whimsy. You're trying to tell me there's no connection between nonchalance and whimsy?
There is.
And the fact that they're like completely opposing each other kind of gives it away as well. So, in my opinion, my very humble opinion, whimsy becomes a backlash towards nonchalance. And nonchalance is this idea of, as much as you might think you're really cool by being nonchalant, it's this idealization of a suppression and a repression of emotion, especially in the male population. The idea of nonchalance is to act like nothing bothers you, and that is a net of safety. But it is also a net in which there is no room for enjoyment. There is no room for being able to be yourself outside of just being. I like how you're here just to nod at me.
No, because I agree.
Nonchalance becomes this idea of perfection, this idea that I am untouchable, and the idea that there is a fly or a bug or I don't know what that is on your floor. I have an ant infestation in my house. Whimsy becomes an existence that combats the carefully curated social image that we create for ourselves in a world where more and more of us prefer authenticity. And so I realized that in trying to combat this nonchalance, I was trying to be nonchalant. And so this is the whimsy alternative, which is me yapping. The issue then arises when whimsy becomes the thing that it preaches against. So once whimsy becomes something that is brandified or something that feeds into consumer culture, it becomes less and less authentic. And the lifestyle that exists to encourage authenticity and bold individualism begins to play into the world of brand imaging and trend following. And an article by Her Campus explains that the whimsical trend is becoming less about a way of being and more about aesthetics. It feels less spontaneous and more planned for a photo. Whatever small thing in your day that you can do to make yourself feel joy, that's your whimsy, not a TikTok aesthetic. And I've talked about it previously, about this idea of aestheticization, where everything has to be perfectly produced to make this photo, where even hobbies are done just so that they look good. So it isn't because people actually enjoy what they're doing, but because it will look as if they're enjoying their life. As if you can buy pleasure and buy joy instead of finding it in the little things, which goes against the point of whimsy. It becomes an increasingly aesthetic way of living. And in essence, it is harmless, but it removes the messy human experience that comes with hobbies, failures, and learning for the perfect picture. Whimsy is finding the desire to live in everything that surrounds you. And as long as it brings you joy, it is whimsical. It does not have to look good for a photo. It doesn't have to look aesthetic. It can be messy, because being a part of the human experience is to be a part of that mess.
Preach.
There is an increasing desire with the digital landscape as well, especially with AI, to have things that are authentically made by human beings. There's this idea that art should be made by humans, regardless of if it's bad, because even then it is a human experience of... I can see your hand in the background.
Attention, my agreement.
So yeah, with the flood of AI recently, there's this idea that we just want things that are made by humans. We want something that feels human, that feels real, which is kind of a little bit dystopian when you think about it, that we're so desperate for the human experience outside of something that a robot can create and produce for us. And so I'd like to end on a post I saw recently that I think I've mentioned earlier in the video, but it links to this desire for whimsy, this desire for humanity, and this purpose in life that is desperately separate from our need to produce a money-making machine out of ourselves and to serve the corporate world. The quote is, Western cultures believe we must be alive for a purpose, to work, to make money. Some indigenous cultures believe we're alive just as nature is alive, to be here, to be beautiful, and to be strange. We don't need to achieve anything to be valid in our humanness. And so it's this idea that we don't have to have a set purpose to exist. We don't have to prove that we deserve to exist, that we deserve to live. And that's the point of whimsy. It's not to prove anything to anyone or yourself, other than this idea that life is worth living. I think that's a great way to end it.
I think that's beautiful.
So this is my yap on the idea of whimsy. Thank you for watching, and from this point onwards, we're talking about the meaning of life and any outtakes.
When people say that life has no meaning, I can't seem to fathom it, because even the things that you believe don't give life meaning, they do give it meaning. And and it's like meaning in not in terms of positivity and optimism. It's everything in the world that I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, yeah, I get what you mean.
Like even work does provide life meaning, because you are innately putting something out there.
I think it's the idea that it's pointless. If life has no meaning, then everything you do is pointless. And I think it's this greater thinking where your actions alone don't have an impact on anything. And therefore there's no point in your existence, because even if you didn't exist, things would carry on. But I would say that that's not 100% true either, because even if you haven't cured world hunger, there are people around you that you made a difference to. Good or bad, you still made a difference. There's no way that you not being a thing or you not existing wouldn't change things. It would 100% change things.
Yeah.
Everyone I know has an impact on me, regardless of, even if I don't talk to them. And then the people that they do talk to, they have an impact on those people.
Yeah.
So there's physically no way for you to not have an impact on the world.
Mm.
And so everything has meaning.
Yeah.
I think the meaning of life is very subjective, but I think we are too preoccupied with this idea that life must have meaning. Like, ooh, I just popped a button.
Oh?
My button agrees. Button agrees.
It popped off, Queen. It said popped off. You said pop off, Queen.
And so, what was I trying to say?
That we're too preoccupied with.
Yeah, I think we're preoccupied with the idea of a deep meaning for everything. I also think we're too preoccupied with labels or boxes. This whole idea that like you need to know yourself. Well, yeah, you do, but forcing yourself into a box doesn't make you understand yourself anymore. It just makes you identify with something that isn't truly you. It took me so many years to understand that you don't have to be a prototype.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel like everything, even aesthetics, there's like, okay, you are this, you are that. And then we had the whole, like, dog pretty, cat pretty. Like, we're so obsessed with labeling ourselves as a certain thing, because that allows us to feel like our individual experience is, what's the word? Like, it's valid. Yeah. It's this idea that our experience is validated because it exists outside of just us. And so we try to label ourselves, but you can be multiple things. You are just you. You don't have to be anything else, you know? Like, and that was really difficult to understand for me, because I was like, well, I like this, I also like this, I don't really fit into this box, I'm not really this, because I'm the smart person, right? But then I was like, oh, but I like sports, you know, but I like art. And so it was this thing that I don't belong in like a clique or whatever. It's this idea that there's no in-group for me. But that in itself is an in-group. Not everyone belongs to a specific prototype. We're all very, very individual. And then it was the idea that I need to be okay with just being me.
Yeah.
I don't have to be everything else. And then that in itself is a being. Me being me is me being, like, this is me being me, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how else to explain that. Like, your individualism is what makes you valid. Human experience is a collective experience. You cannot separate yourself from everything else and everyone else.
Yeah.
Individualism in the point where you can be yourself is good. If that being yourself means that you are harming others, not so good.
Yeah, it's about individualism, you being an individualist in a community.
Yeah.
Like you have your community, but you are essentially your own person.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be, like, for example, me and you, for example, have shared interests.
Yeah.
And that's what life is about. It's about shared interests. Because, like, you think about it, biologically speaking, we're genetically similar, but we are different. Each person has their own unique genome, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right here.
So then why do we link biology to our psyche as well? And the fact that we will all be the same in terms of, like, we're all human. And we all have kind of similar ideals and similar thinking, but it's gonna be slightly different. And that's something that, like, you work on in terms of parental, like, in terms of your relationship with your parents. Like, I feel like I've always believed when I was a child, because obviously children think in binary terms rather than thinking of in more deep terms of, like,
This is you.
That's
is the
me.
one who's talking.
that, like, my mom is the ultimate person, so I have to think exactly like my mom. And then you spend your entire, like, childhood, obviously, like, anything that your mom or your dad say, like, that's peak, that's amazing. And then as you start growing older, I think you have, like I had, like, an inner battle of, like, am I right or am I wrong? Because it goes against what my mom is saying. And that's obviously not in terms of, like, deep moral things. Like, me and my mom are very similar in terms of, like, our moral ethics. Like, that's how I grew up, and that's my stuff, like, and theologically, things like that. But, like, in terms of, like, little things where I'm like, I think differently than my mom, and I'm like, is that right? Is that wrong? And I think when I communicated with her a bit more, it started to give me a little bit of
Clarity.
clarity, a little bit of validation of, like, it's fine to be different. It's fine to be yourself, but also rely on the wisdom of others and rely on the experiences of others to better yourself. So you can be an individualist that values the and pick and choose. You can be an individualist and pick and choose what you like, what you don't like about the community. You don't have to be fully immersed in a community. You can pick what's good for you and then kind of work your way with that.
It's not that difficult. I don't know why I'm stalling. Okay. Also, is my voice monotone? I say with the highest pitch in the last sentence. Also, like, this is so cute. It's like my emotional support teddy.
Your emotional support.
She can speak for me. Is Whimsy a rebellion? Is Whimsy a rebellion? In a time of peak digitalization, horror-ridden news, and the monotonous nihilism that comes with the linear pattern of everyday corporate life, choosing to enjoy things in an eccentric, unapologetic way becomes a silent rebellion against society.
Overarching.
I'm not a philosophist.
A philosopher.
I need to like, I have one of my best friends is called Aisha. She did philosophy for A level.
Oh.
And I need her to sit me down and tell me about all of the good philosophers. She's such a good teacher.
What are you, like, feeling? Like,
I'm feeling a lot of things and none of them are good.
Why? Like, what's, like, the...
I think it's just this idea that I'm not... They are my thoughts, but they're thoughts on paper that I'm reading instead of freestyling, if that makes sense. Like, I have no problem talking in front of a camera. It's just the idea that I don't want it to sound forced because it is my thoughts, it's my words.
Yeah.
But it's words that have been curated on paper. So. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about, I think what it is this is the first one where I'm trying to do it in a style that isn't mine. I think that's the issue. You know what I mean?
Why do you want to do it in a style that's not yours?
Maybe because I feel like that would appeal to more of an audience. But then that's not authentic. That goes against everything I'm talking about.
That's
okay. Bye. Enjoy.
I will have to. Bye.